All right, guys, it is Wednesday, November the 15th, about 7:30. We're about an hour before the New York Open. And right now we're looking at Avalanche. Look at this absolute beauty. Up about 14.5% over the last 24 hours. And guys, I'm not surprised. We had talked about this really, over the last few videos on just how amazing this opportunity is for Avalanche and really just crypto in general right now. And, I really want people to understand that there is no better place to be right now than crypto. I mean, you just do not see this anywhere else where you're getting like a 15% pop in one day and it's really just getting started. Now, I know what a lot of people think, like, how could it just be getting started? Blah, 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 blah. Is it going to crash? Whatever. And I'm here to tell you, probably not. Well, let me go back. It is just getting started, and it's probably not going to crash. Okay, this is why I think that it's just getting started. Okay, and we're going to focus a lot on altcoins in this video because everything else is boring compared to this, in my opinion. Right now, we're looking at this on a logarithmic scale. So you may be wondering why this chart looks different than your chart. And the answer is because you're looking at it on a logarithmic scale. So instead of looking at it on a linear scale, which this is how it looks on a linear scale, it's kind of hard to chart it because it's such a ridiculous chart. This is an exponentially growing chart, an exponentially declining chart. So it's really better to look at it from a logarithmic point of view. But just so you see the difference, we'll kind of keep it on this linear view for now. And if I take the top, depending on what you really want to call the top here, I'm going to say that the weekly closes here was like the real top. This is just like liquidations, albeit pretty dramatic liquidations. That's the top in my opinion. The bottom is roughly, $7, $8, something like that. Don't have to be perfect. And if you take that, as your range here, your previous cycle range, so from top to bottom, to get to 25% retracement level, meaning to recover 25% of the decline, takes us to this resistance area here, right? And it actually fits really nicely. See how you have this action here? This is really where I think we're going, okay? And I do not believe it will take long. And if you look at where we are now, and if you put a price, and if you measure this with a little measurement tool, I'm going to try to get as close as I can to the price now, you're looking at about 100%, okay? So it was about 120% before yesterday. But we just moved to like basically 20% in the last 24 hours. So now it's about 100%. But that is a huge move, right, for most people. Now, does this mean that you can go and do a 10x leverage trade here and walk away and everything is great? Thank you, God, hallelujah. No. And this is why really you have to have some experience trading to really manage, I would say, leverage like that. And I'm going to show you why. Let me get rid of this tool here. Get rid of this. So let's zoom in here. And I'm going to show you why you have to be careful here. Okay. You want to be bullish. You want to be a bit on the left curve, risk-taking side. But you have to understand how quickly this market can change. So if we look at this on let's look at it on a 12-hour. I think that'll give us a better view here. I don't know why I don't see my 12-hour. Sorry, guys. Bear with me. Having to fix something. I'm not really sure why that's gone. Okay, so if we're looking at the 12-hour, we see that during the last pullback, this thing moved roughly 15%. Why am I telling you this? Because had you bought up here, oh my gosh, this thing's gonna go higher. Or let's just say like you bought right here, right? roughly at about 17.5. You would have been right. It would have gone up about, from a 17.5, it would have gone up like 12%. Woo, we made money. Everybody's happy. But then you would have seen it go down about 12%. Why does that matter? If you're using 10x leverage here, that would have blown you out. So what I'm really trying to say is a lot of people, they get in our Discord and they see some guys using heavy leverage, not realizing that this is a skill set. You have to do this when under the right conditions. You have to be careful because this is such an easy trade, in my opinion, if you're not using a whole lot of leverage. Now, Avalanche is great. I think it's going up 100%, like I said, over the next few months. But there are even better opportunities, to be honest. I think that NEAR is actually an even better trade. And the reason I like NEAR is it's a real project. It has recently partnered up with what I would consider a heavy hitter, which is Eigenlayer, to create basically a layer 2 settlement layer. Something that would be useful for layer 2s. This is, if you're not if you're not on the technical side of crypto, you probably don't care about that, but it does have a narrative, is what I'm trying to say. There are some fundamentals for why NEAR could, increase in value over the next few months. And more importantly than that is it's absolutely wrecked. Right? So I think that's actually the most important thing when you really think about it, is who is wrecked and who is not wrecked, and do these things have any kind of fundamentals? So if we do the same little analysis that we did on Avalanche, and we look at NEAR here, and again, you could put this Fibonacci tool, we'll just put it here, okay? Maybe we're being a little bit generous, but let's just say that's the top. I mean, technically it is 2 weekly closes up there. And if we take this measurement tool, 250 to get to where I think its first level of real resistance is. Okay? And if you're wondering why I'm talking about narrative, we'll talk about this in the Discord, but you can see that if we look up NEAR here, and this is one of our platforms we use for research at DeFiancy. Oh, I thought I had this pulled up. I'm sorry, guys. You can see I probably should have pulled this up. But here's some of the, I guess the key numbers or key, points we could say about NEAR at this point. Daily active addresses has increased 350%. This was made last month, but that was a big, increase. The daily transactions reached an all-time high in Q3 of this year. And then native USDC, that's probably the most important, went live. And there's about $82 million, or at least there was last month. So there's things happening, okay? This is not a dead chain. Okay, now some people will say that it's a dead chain, but I don't believe it is. And I believe this is, for Defiancy, probably going to be the most explosive play that we'll be taking part of. I just think that a lot of people have been sleeping on some of these alternative layer 1s because they think they're dead, not realizing that they're just quiet. They're not, they're not shilling their project. You may not be seeing what is going on underneath the surface. And I can tell you that NEAR has, by far and away, maybe I shouldn't say, I might be exaggerating. They have one of the most smart teams that I've seen. And I've met a few of these guys. I can tell you, I've gone to these conferences. These guys are on a whole nother level. I mean, one of the founders is from Microsoft. The other one's from another big, I think maybe Google or something like that. These guys are really smart guys. And they have a lot of resources, a lot of smart people around them that work at NEAR. They really are an exceptional group of people. And whether or not this is ultimately successful from a fundamental standpoint, I cannot tell you that. But I can tell you from a speculation standpoint, people will speculate that it will be successful based off what I've seen, which is that it's not a dead project. We like near. We think it's going to $5.07. Not financial advice, obviously. But now that we've gotten those two out the way, and by the way, those are my favorite. I like Avalanche. I like near. I like looking at things that I can see in my head or visualize in my head as having success because I have some kind of experience with these protocols. I've been in the industry for a while, and I know that they're going to have headlines and things coming out over the next couple of years. So I really like things that I can believe in, but it doesn't mean that there aren't other plays here that are just as nice. But as you can see, if you look at the daily change here, these are among the top gainers, and that is not by coincidence. What I'm seeing in the chart and fundamentals, other people are seeing. These are going to be trading higher very soon, in my opinion. Doesn't mean we can't get a pullback. We saw how easy we can get these pullbacks. Another one I want to bring your attention to here is Render. Now, this one might not have the chart that, I wouldn't say that I like this chart as much as I like Near and an Avalanche, but I do like this from a fundamental standpoint, and mainly I like this project because it benefits disproportionately from the AI narrative, right? Which, if you've been paying attention to Microsoft, it's at all-time highs right now. It's in price discovery. Why? Because of the AI narrative. OpenAI, Grok, that's Twitter's AI. All of these things are being built. If you haven't used these systems, you should. They're incredible. There's massive opportunities in AI. Well, there are some crypto, AI-specific projects, and Render's one of them. What is Render? Well, it's a decentralized protocol that the aim of it is to basically function as a GPU, meaning people that need GPUs for AI models can plug into the Render system and be able to, use that hardware. It's like shared hardware, decentralized hardware. Is it going to work in the long run? I don't know. That's not the point of this. It's all about speculation. As a trader, you see a narrative, AI, you see a token that's fit for that has a product within that realm, which is Render, and you look at the chart and say, well, it looks pretty good. You have some absorption here over the last few weeks. So if we get our little drawing tool, it's pretty nice. Looks like you have buyers stepping in here. Where is this going to go? Well, I don't really know, in terms of what potential this actually has. I probably should have done this before we got on here, but I can give you an idea. So let's look at the fundamentals here. Sorry, we're just kind of winging it this morning. Bear with me. Let's look at the fundamentals. So right now it has a 871 million market cap, about 1.2 billion, 1.25 billion fully diluted value. The question is, what could it be valued at later? I've been in crypto for a while, and I'm not going to say this is like an easy call, but could this be a $5 billion fully diluted value? Yes. Could it be at 10? I think 10's probably pushing it. Actually, I would say that 10 is pushing it. But let's just go with 5, right? If the fully diluted value is at 5, okay, well, that's like over 3x from here. Like 4x, right? So, yeah, I think it's got a lot of potential. And now this would be going into, obviously, like next year. I wouldn't say that you would get all of those gains now, but this is what I want people to do now, is get some of these tokens on their radar so that you're familiar with them, you understand them whenever it comes time to pull the trigger. And that trigger that time might be now, but I'm just saying education, understanding what is out there is really important. And what happens to a lot of investors that come into crypto during the bull market, which is, we're not really even there yet, but we're getting into it, is they just rush in. They don't know what's going on. They don't know the battlefield. It's like a battlefield. It's chaos. There's a lot of things going up, like going up and down, and it just confuses people. But if you can familiarize yourself with what's out there now, you can have a lot more success, and you'll have a lot more. Um, you'll have the courage, and you'll have, just the courage to be able to hold things through, a bull market, which is not always easy. You're in major profit, you're losing money, you're making money, but if you understand what you're dealing with, you'll have better. You're going to have more success. Just trust me. A lot of people that come in not knowing what they're dealing with end up sacrificing a lot of gains because they don't hold long enough, or they cut their losses too early, meaning they started getting underwater on something and they sell. But if you, again, start researching these things, and I think you're going to have more success. Again, this is not financial advice. We're just trying to give you the good opportunities. So this is a real project. This is not some scammy joke. This is real. Is it going to be successful long term? I don't know. Would someone have been able to give you, the odds of Google being successful 25 years ago? Probably not, right? They wouldn't have been able to give, of course you had believers, but it's all about probabilities, and there is no guarantees here, but you have to look at things that have potential value, and make your own informed opinion. And that's really what we're trying to do with some of these alts here. More speculative on this one, but I like it. AI narrative. I really feel like AI is going to do well. Okay. I want to show you guys some other ones. I don't want to spend too much time on this video. Excuse me. But I really like Aave. So we've been talking about these application layer, or I'm sorry, these layer ones, which is, that's what you build applications on. Well, now we're looking at the apps here, or one of the premier apps, which is Aave, one of my personal favorites. And I really like Aave's chart because, as you can see, we're looking at this Fibonacci retracement tool. And if we say that's pretty much the top there, you're roughly about, so not quite as good as Near or Avalanche, but about 80-something%, but still pretty good. But what I like about it is it had this big, long consolidation, and it's broken out. So you definitely are going to have people defend their positions that they built here. And I just don't see much downside on this. And I think it's nice to have exposure to the application layer and the layer 1 layer and even the layer 2 layer, which we can talk about that later. But this is definitely one I think you should put on your radar. It is a powerhouse within the application space. Many people use Aave. It is the premier borrowing and lending platform. If you've never used it, you probably don't know even what that means. But Aave is a borrowing and lending platform, meaning you can stake assets, so you can supply assets. And actually, you know what? Why not just show you? Oops. Oh, let me just show you what I mean. I should have had this pulled up. But and before we do that, so it has a fully diluted value of about 1.5 billion. So to me, that's not that much overvalued, considering it was like probably 10 times bigger during the bull market. That's going to make me connect my wallet. But let me just go to these markets. So basically, what Aave is, sorry, it took me a while to get here. So you supply assets. Okay, so if you want to supply, let's say, wrapped Bitcoin, which is a tokenized Bitcoin, or Ethereum, you can supply it. Okay, they'll give you 1.6 APR to supply it, and then you can borrow against it, which most people borrow, Tether or USDC. For USDC, you can borrow it, and this is for the Aave on Ethereum layer 1. You could borrow it at about 3.5%. So let's say if you supplied Ethereum, which is about 1.7, and you borrowed at a rate about 3.5, right? That means that you would be borrowing it at like 2.2%, something like that, right? Which is pretty good. Your interest rate's like 2.2% on a loan that you took from yourself. Pretty nice, right? And as you can see, there's quite a bit of money actually in this system. Um, I'd have to, well, here it is right here. Total amount on the Ethereum version of this app, and there's apps on other chains like Base, Arbitrum, Avalanche, and some of these layer twos. But the biggest one is the Ethereum layer one. There's about $4 billion on it. Okay, and there's about $2.6 billion available to borrow. So there is money that this system is still working, meaning if you needed to take a loan out, you could come over here, assuming that you don't have a loan bigger than 2.6 billion. And then people are going to start to realize that this is really crypto, in my opinion. Yes, Bitcoin's cool, right? But these applications, in my opinion, this is really what crypto is all about. Is the application, things that people want to use that enhance their life, right? And Bitcoin only gets you so far. And trust me, Bitcoin's amazing. I can talk all about how it's revolutionary and changes the game, right? But if you really want to change the financial system, if you really want to change the world, there are other things we need to change. And Aave is on it's on the DeFi side. So this is a decentralized financial application. And it has a really nice chart. And I think people should be, again, this is not financial advice. It's just time to familiarize yourself with some of these applications. And there's many more we can talk about. But I've rambled enough. I'm giving you my daily ramble here. And if you want to learn more, come in the Discord, ask us questions. We'd love to talk. And until next time, happy hunting, friends.